So what I've done then is I've expanded because my platform now is such, rather than just be writing about myself and talking about myself, I now interview other people who've got out of prison, help them get their stories out, help them get book deals. My own publishing company now, Gadfly Press, is working with about 10 of my podcast guests. It's all true crime, getting their books out as well.
Right.
All those good people who helped me, I remember. Now I'm trying to be one of those people now, giving other people a leg up, especially guys who've just got out of prison.
What? How would you describe how, not necessarily reading, but writing has changed your life?
So, writing has become my life. You know, someone said reading would improve my writing. I read over 1,000 books. That
Right.
became the lifeblood of my rehabilitation. And blogging in prison saved my sanity. Writing about the conditions helped me deal with the conditions. And then when the responses came in from the public, it was like the spirit of those people was right there with me in the cell.
When you say
I'd lo-
blogging, what do you mean by that?
okay, so when I was in max security, I started to write everything down. In the beginning, it was about the cockroaches.
Okay.
That's how my writing got discovered. Now, I couldn't just post what I wrote because the guards can open your mail.
Mm.
You know, we wanted to expose what was going on.
Mm.
But my aunt would visit me in max security. So I figured out a way for her to get those written notes out of the jail. And when I look back at those written notes now, they're all crinkled with sweat because I was sat in that cell sweating all over the paper with my little pencil sharpened on the door. So what she did was she came and visited me. I couldn't hand what I'd written to her because in max security, she's behind a plexiglass screen. I'm in a cubicle. I've got one hand handcuffed to the table and another hand holding a telephone. Do you remember in Silence of the Lambs when Hannibal Lecter first met Clarice Starling?
I think so.
And Hannibal comes down into that dungeon. I'm sorry, Clarice Starling, the FBI agent, comes down to
Isn't
the
he in that,
dungeon.
like, he's in like a fish tank type thing, right?
She comes down to the dungeon and he's behind the plexiglass screen and she's speaking
Right.
to him. Yeah, it's a bit like that. So what I could do was a property release. And what that means is in my cell, I'm only allowed 7 books. If I go over that, I've got to release it. My old mail, my old legal paperwork, I can release that to my aunt. Now, to do a property release, you've got to get a form called a tank order. You've got to beg a guard for that. You've got to fill it out, and then his superior's got to sign off on it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go up to the property with your tank order, doing the penguin shuffle, because I'm in max security, so my hands are cuffed, my legs are cuffed, doing the penguin shuffle, holding onto my property with my property release.
Yeah.
I gave that to the visitation officer with what I'd written hidden in it. Now, the guards are trained to search for contraband, drugs, cash, syringes, so they don't notice stuff that I've got hidden in property that's, just written down.
Right.
That stuff is on the guard's desk while I've got the visit with my aunt. So I'm looking over. If you've seen my Locked Up Abroad episode on National Geographic,
Yeah.
it shows me and my aunt, with my aunt, and I'm looking over the guard's desk. I'm sweating, thinking he's going to find it. And at the end of the visit, my aunt claims the property from the guard. She walks out of the maximum security Madison Street jail with it, goes home, types them up, emails them to my parents in my little
Wow.
town, Widnes, near Liverpool and Manchester. My parents put them online as a blog, John's Jail Journal, not Shaun, because I think we discussed in part 1 that the guards were murdering mentally ill prisoners. But did I tell you about that?
They were doing what to mentally ill prisoners?
Murdering them.
No, you didn't. I don't think you did say that.
Okay, then. I've got videos on my channel of guards murdering mentally ill prisoners, including war veterans.
What?
Now, the cases that came about back then, Brian Crenshaw was classified as a partially blind shoplifter, failed to produce his ID for the evening meal. The guards pulverized him, broke his neck, severe internal injuries. He went into a coma and died a month later. People can Google these names. Scott Norberg, mentally ill man. They bring him in. Guards start beating him and electrocuting him with tasers. A female guard tries to stop it. Stop beating him, his face has turned blue. They ignore her and they keep beating him. The prisoners start to yell, why are you still beating him? He is already dead. And they were like a pack of animals. They couldn't, even though he was by now a corpse,
Right.
they could not stop beating the corpse. Just like a pack of animals.
It's fucking bonkers.
Once that triggered, they can't stop. So those cases were caught on camera, and family members of the victims of the guards sued the jail and were awarded compensation. My question for you, Danny, is what do you think the boss, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, did to some of those guards that were found responsible in federal court for murdering those prisoners?
I mean, I can't imagine they probably got paid leave or something like that, or they got to retire early, or they didn't.
Pay rises and promotions.
Really? So they just got rewarded and they kept their jobs.
Rewarded for murder, which is an incentive to kill. Arpaio always backs his guys up. He prides himself, America's toughest sheriff. Who gives a shit about prisoners? That's his attitude. Yeah. So my mum was aware of these lawsuits and these cases and these people that the guards had murdered.
Yeah.
Now, the blog idea came from my dad. This was when blogs were just starting.
Right.
And we became the first prison blog. And I think we were the first prison YouTube channel because it started in 2007. My channel, and I think we put videos up in 2008. And my dad had read a book called The Baghdad Blogger by Salem Pax. And that's how my dad learned about blogging.
Mm.
And it was in the news. This guy, when the bombs were dropping on Iraq, he lived there. So he was describing what the day-to-day life was like. And this was making news in the UK.
Wow.
So my dad read this and he sent me even an article, and he eventually sent me the guy's book. And I was very frustrated at the injustices that were being perpetrated, the human rights violations, not just on me, but on the prison population. Mm-hmm. I was outraged, and I saw all the people profiteering from it. So as an educated person, I wanted to expose it, but I didn't have the tools. So when my dad proposed this blogging thing, I was all over it, but my mum was like putting the brakes on. Because of the murders by the guards, she did not want us to do it. So then we came up with John, which is Irish for Shaun anyway. And
they figured if they just changed your name, it would protect you.
And that's what it did. Yeah, that's how we proceeded.
Okay.
It took a while for the authorities to catch up with it. My blog now is, and all my books are classified as a threat to the security of the institution in Arizona, and prisoners are prohibited from accessing them. So my aunts got smuggled the stuff out. Mm-hmm. I thought just my friends and some few little people would read it.
Yeah.
But when I moved over to Supermax because of more tricks by the prosecutor, the BBC, the Guardian ran it, a major newspaper here. They had an American cockroach on the front of the section, and all the anecdotes I told you about the cockroaches.
Yeah.
That's what got my writing discovered.
Oh my goodness.
And then the BBC.
That's fucking amazing.
The BBC ran it, and it's just not stopped. The media's not stopped since then, and the interest has not stopped since then. That was over 10 years ago.
So you were writing, you were sitting down in your cell writing daily.
Yeah, and I was writing letters to people, getting pen pals.
Yeah.
People would read my blog, contact the blog administration, which was my parents. Mm-hmm. And then my parents, once they'd vetted them and found out, they were good people, would give them my prison address, and they would write letters to me and send books to me.